January 9th, 2007, San Francisco. Steve Jobs walks on stage in a black turtleneck and blue jeans. He doesn't just unveil a phone. He unveils a new economic era. Today, he says, Apple is going to reinvent the phone. And they did. Not with buzzwords, not with vaporware, but with a product so fundamentally transformative, it didn't just capture market share, it captured human behavior. It rewired how we communicate, consume, create, and connect. The iPhone wasn't a gadget. It was a gravity well, pulling the entire global economy into its orbit. For over a decade, Apple didn't just make products, they printed desire. And desire, as any economist will tell you, is the most valuable currency on Earth. Fast forward to 2025. Apple is now worth over $3 trillion, more cash than the GDP of the United Kingdom. But something's off. They're charging $3,500 for a headset that feels like a tech demo trapped in a luxury casing. Their revolutionary AI, still stuck in beta purgatory, asking you to join a waitlist like it's Coachella for code. And their flagship innovation this year, the iPhone 16 is, wait for it, even thinner. Again. This isn't think different. This is think depreciation schedule. Let's rewind the balance sheet. In 1997, Apple was 90 days from bankruptcy. Beige boxes, confused branding, a company hemorrhaging relevance. Then Steve Jobs returned and didn't just fix the product line, he fixed the profit model. The iMac wasn't just colorful, it was the first proof that people would pay a premium for emotion, not specs, not speed, soul. Apple stopped competing on price and started competing on perception, and perception, as it turns out, has a much higher margin. Enter the Vision Pro, $3,500. Spatial computing, 23 sensors, micro OLEDs, a triumph of engineering, a disaster of economics. Nobody asked for it, nobody can afford it, and nobody knows why they'd need it. Except maybe to watch Disney Plus alone while your spouse wonders if you've joined a tech cult. It's not a product, it's a statement. We have so much money, we can afford to build something nobody wants, and charge luxury tax for the privilege. Early adopters called it impressive tech looking for a purpose. Analysts called it a halo product with no halo effect. I call it the Emperor's new headset. Meanwhile, the world moved on. While Apple polished bezels, China flipped the script. Huawei, Xiaomi, Oppo, they didn't just undercut Apple on price, they out-innovated them on design, battery, AI integration, and value. Chinese consumers didn't defect, they upgraded to something better and cheaper. Apple's response? Raise prices. Again. And while Apple fiddled with ceramic shields, AI burned through the global economy. ChatGPT dropped in 2022 and rewrote the rules overnight. Microsoft embedded AI into everything. Google made it ambient. Samsung baked it into cameras, mics, and messaging. Apple? Siri, a 13-year-old assistant that still can't reliably set a timer, was rebranded as Apple Intelligence. The demo? Staged. The launch? Delayed. The features? Pushed to 2026, some to 2027. Internal memos leaked. Apple's own Siri chief called the delays ugly and embarrassing. And yet, they marketed it anyway. Sold millions of iPhones on promises that don't exist. That's not innovation. That's financial engineering with a keynote backdrop. The App Store, once a walled garden, is now a toll bridge. 30% tax on every in-app purchase, arbitrary bans, opaque guidelines. Developers don't feel like partners. They feel like tenants paying rent to a landlord who changes the locks on a whim. Epic Games sued them. So what the hell happened? Apple didn't fail. They succeeded. Too well. They built the most profitable company in history, and then forgot how to spend that profit on anything but itself. Innovation requires risk. Risk requires failure. Failure requires tolerance. Apple's culture now? Risk-averse, committee-driven, perfection-obsessed. They'd rather delay a feature for 2 years than ship something imperfect. Steve Jobs didn't fear failure. He weaponized it. Real artists ship, he said. Today's Apple? Real accountants delay. The numbers don't lie. R&D spend as percent of revenue? Declining. New product categories launched since 2015? 1. Vision Pro, and it's floundering. Major acquisitions to fuel innovation? Almost none. Internal AI talent? Frustrated, siloed, stifled. Apple has become a bank that occasionally releases hardware. And the customers? They're noticing. Gen Z doesn't line up for iPhones anymore. They compare spec sheets and walk out with a Pixel or a Galaxy. Why? Because those phones do more, cost less, and don't treat them like revenue streams. Brand loyalty? Eroding. Ecosystem lock-in? Weakening. The Apple tax used to feel worth it. Now, it feels like a subscription to yesterday. So here's the brutal truth. Apple didn't lose to competitors. They lost to complacency. They stopped asking, what do people need? And started asking, what can we mark up? They stopped inventing the future and started amortizing the past. The company that once turned technology into poetry now turns features into footnotes. The revolution didn't die with Steve Jobs. It died with the quarterly earnings call.